Alright guys, welcome back to another video here on the John Doc YouTube channel. This is like part 2 of our Holley Terminator install that we're doing on our nitrous car here. Doing this to try to help people understand that the Terminator is not only used in boosted applications, it works well. We're going to be using it with a dry nitrous application on this LS Swap New Edge that we got here. Had some issues with the stock computer originally. Got the car, went through the tune-up. I think we were like out of injector, possible fuel system issue. We were having issues not being able to data log the parameters that we needed to kind of make the correct adjustment. Went out to the track, tested a little bit. Car shut off randomly the first time we ran it. The second time we ran it, shut off twice, so it started getting progressively worse. That's when we got to the point where we said, hey, let's put a Holley Terminator on it. We'll run dry nitrous. It has self-correction. Tuning is way better. We can run the progressive and everything through there. We spoke about that in the last video, and just by going over everything that's on the car, the two-step, the standalone, the progressive, there was one other thing. Oh, the wideband. Those items right there will pay for a Terminator, and the Terminator system can operate all of that. So it's literally, you could save half the price just by doing that and not have to worry about the wiring harness. So we pulled the factory computer out, and this is the GM wiring harness that someone has gone through, and they did a pretty good job of labeling it, luming it, taping it up so everything looks good. And what we're going to be doing today is installing the Terminator harness. So Matt has a Terminator ECU, as you can see right there. A little bit smaller package, but it packs way more of a punch.
Smaller's not always worse.
Yes. Sometimes it's good to be a little bit smaller. The harness right there, that's our main harness. So that is a 24 tooth LS harness. We do have a EV6 connector injector harness for it, but the injectors aren't in yet. So for what we're going to be doing today, we're just going to be running the harness, getting it all dressed out, getting it plugged up to the ECU, and then we will have to run the main power harness, which comes with the Terminator kit. Terminator system, 24 tooth harness, EV6 connector, injector harness, and we got it with the tuning USB cable because we didn't want to run a dash. We got a bunch of analog gauges in this car, which I think kind of fit the car. An old, like, the Boomermobile, a good old trusty nitrous.
We got everything. We're going to go through and dig out the tack wire, so the factory altimeter, or not factory, but
the giant Boomer
the giant
rated
5-inch altimeter tack will read. And here's the input and output harness. Your harness will plug into this, so you'll have all your inputs and outputs for the nitrous, trans brake inputs. If you want to add like nitrous pressure, this would be used in our turbo application if you're doing dome pressure and the boost solenoids. So we got everything. We're going to try to get this to go through the firewall and start wiring it up.
So you guys have to check out the last video if you haven't seen it. It's where we talk about everything we got and what's intended use is. We talk about or you actually see us ripping this harness through a somewhat small,
very
small hole and grommet in the firewall. And now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to start putting everything back on it. If we did have all the injectors and everything here, we could probably have this thing wired up and running in literally like half a day.
So this car had the IAT sensor right here, and I don't like to run them right there just because you'll get a lot of heat wash from the radiator fan, so you could potentially show higher IATs. It's not super critical because a lot of the tune-ups, like, you know, people are like, oh, I gotta put an IAT exactly where it needs to be. Tuning doesn't change that much from intake to temperature. Like, you could have a 40 or 50 degree swing and it's not going to drastically affect the tune-up. So don't get hung up if you can't find a place to put it. But don't put it directly in front of the fan. You know, put it off here, the engine bay, or up by the intake somewhere. Preferably in the intake, but on this setup it's kind of hard. If you have a 4500 throttle body, I have, with the 1/8 inch sensors, you can drill the bottom of this and run it up so it'll come out right here. So, ready to do some shoving and pulling?
Don't want to lay it on the cylinder head?
No, unless you want cylinder head temp.
Or you can just put it in between each primary. That's what I generally do.
Let it dangle.
You just got to make sure the angle is right for the dangle.
You know, you have to proper angle with the dangle. So, shout out to some other Holley MSD products we have on here. We got MSD spark plug wires. Absolutely.
How?
Absolutely beautiful.
Had an MSD two-step.
Had an MSD two-step. Also, Holley just came out with it. Like, I'm not just like, I thought it was cool. Holley just came out with Super Victor style intakes. They have them in 4500 and 4150. So you can literally run.
Is that coming next?
In what?
Is that coming next?
No, I mean, I already got an LS1 Super Victor. All the Super Victor stuff's pretty much the same, but Holley, they're very, 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 very affordable, and you're bang for your buck. You can get that. Holley has a bunch of nice like elbows that bolt right up to an LS throttle body. If you're running a boost application, you go buy that, buy the elbow, throttle body, pow, you got a badass intake setup.
Just want to be careful not to cut it because it's...
I think you can go through the other way. It just had to be twisted 90 degrees. Oh wait. It was almost like face forward, yeah, and then turn.
No, I got a big...
Rotate it 90.
No, there's no way I can do that.
You can't get the little clip through first.
No, it's way, like, it's just barely going through and it's way larger. We need a deburr.
You ever seen two guys shove it in one grommet before?
Wes, that's two videos in a row. You're gonna have inappropriate comments. Come on.
I don't know. I was just talking about two guys shoving it in one grommet.
Yeah, that's what we're... Oh, God. We gotta replace that wire.
I saw that wire in there too.
Did you got it?
I could tell that's not gonna fit.
No, you're very...
Physics tells me that will not work.
I don't think that's how physics works.
Oh, he just jammed it right in there. Or did he jelly it in there?
Alright, go slow, go slow. Ben's like, he's got his feet on the firewall.
Alright, y'all, just a little update. We got the wiring harness through the firewall, and we are just plugging everything right up. With the configuration of how this car is set up with not like a factory style throttle body, it's sitting up on top of the engine, we are going to have to rewire a couple things, and we aren't going to use a couple things because we're on those analog gauges. So the TPS sensor is over here. The wiring harness has the TPS sensor way over here and it won't reach. So we're going to cut it back and then we'll run it up through there. Try to make it look kind of nice. What else are we cutting off there? We're cutting off
idle air control valve.
Idle air control valve because we don't have one of those.
And we got fuel pressure. We can
we can. I don't really have a good place to plug up fuel pressure. So we're not really. Well, I guess we kind of are worried about fuel pressure. Fuel pressure is one of the things I do want to log to see if there's a dip in fuel pressure causing the car to shut off. So we're gonna have to cut that back because they do have an analog fuel pressure gauge on here, which we're gonna have to cut off and stick this on there. All right, y'all, we are in the early stages of getting the wiring harness plugged in there. We got our coil packs plugged on each side. We got some of the different sensors plugged in, fuel pressure, TPS. We got this one modified a little bit. Some stuff we have to add as well. Matt's working his way in here. Matt, what are you doing down here?
Finishing up some of the interior wiring, tack output, fuel pump that John doesn't want to run.
What's the beef? Tell him the beef.
I want to run it off the Holley. John wants to run it off switch. So we're gonna compromise and run it off the Holley.
No, you're not. Leave it on the damn switch. What if you take it off and I flip the switch and nothing happens? What's your beef with it being on the switch?
I mean, you just that way. It's just
I sound like an idiot when I try to crank it and it shuts off because I forgot to have the fuel pump on.
Yeah, it's like running fans on a switch. It's like, oh fuck, I forgot to turn my fan on, and now, hold on, I dropped the F-bomb. It's like whenever you run your fans on a switch and it's like, damn, I forgot to turn the fan on, and now the motor's toast.
If you don't
the Holley
forget.
doesn't forget.
If you don't forget.
Yeah.
All right, so what are the next steps here? What are you working on now?
Tack wiring, the main power, the switch power wiring.
We're gonna run that into the steering column.
No, I'm gonna run it off the where the HP harness came off of it. So all the main power wire and everything that to turn the ECU on, and then we're gonna run the large main battery power harness to the rear.
So it's like same thing. Key on power, accessory
Key on,
power. We'll turn this on.
Yep, turn the Holley on, and then we'll start working on the dash wiring. We're gonna get rid of the progressive controller. And man, figure out where we're gonna mount the Terminator. Maybe in the glove box, maybe above the glove box. That way you can still have the glove box space.
I'm not worried about glove box space. I only put my jets in there
Mounted above the glove box, so you still have glove box space.
for all my jets.
You never know. Somebody might want to put something in the glove box.
I mean, I don't know if I'm giving this thing away or not.
Mm.
Should I give it away? Out of all my giveaway cars,
It's a nice one. This is a nice one.
Logan was gonna buy it.
Logan wants to buy it.
The next day.
Welcome back to the John Doc YouTube channel.
All right, so we're here, got pretty much wrapped up with everything on the Terminator system. You guys saw where we were messing with the wiring harness, trying to modify it slightly for the configuration that we have. Everything's wired up. Matt, against my instructions, wired up the fuel pump through the Holley, which...
But you can also use it through the switch.
I'm still going to flip the switch because I just like flipping switches and stuff. So Matt's going to kind of go over everything that we're doing with the nitrous system here. If you're running a turbo application, really, you plug everything up, you set up for boost, you got your map sensor, and then you really just work on your tune-up. Boost is boost, your turbo is going to make it. It's pretty simple. This, with the nitrous, Matt's going to talk about flowing nitrous because we are running dry nitrous. So for those of you guys that don't know what the dry nitrous is, it's going to spray nitrous only, and the injectors are going to make up the difference in fuel, where on a wet system you have like a standalone system, or you pull fuel from the rail, and when it sprays nitrous, it sprays fuel and nitrous. The nitrous, dry nitrous stuff is more race. I mean, I guess nitrous is like race shit.
I mean,
but
either one's good, but dry nitrous does have some advantages. You can tune the nitrous system completely on the fuel side through the Holley, so you don't have to change jets, you don't have to adjust fuel pressure. It's always very consistent.
we ain't gonna be changing jets in the middle of the night.
We're not going to be changing them in the middle of the night.
I can guarantee
It's too
that.
cold for that.
I can guarantee that.
So you don't have to really worry about a nitrous backfire as much. There's a lot of benefits to it. The only, I guess, downside would be is you'd have to run a larger set of injectors, but that's a very small cost for the benefits. So
A good set of injectors is definitely cheaper than a standalone fuel system. So we got everything on there. We think that the fuel pump is either clogged or on its way out, which is, we assumed it was something with fuel. I said it, it kind of felt like it lean popped and then it never came back before we were having the issues, but we weren't able to log it. I'm sure as soon as we log it, we'll know that it's not making the proper fuel pressure, and we'll say, well, there's a pump issue. So if we had the Terminator stuff on there all along and it backfired or it cut off, we literally see it in the tune. Fuel pressure drops. Oh, we got something going on with the fuel pump, so we could have corrected it a while ago. But you live and you learn. This is why the Terminator is very effective. So we're going to go over flowing nitrous real quick, and Matt's going to show you some of the Terminator, I guess, configuration stuff.
yeah, setup. So this would be pretty much like, hey, you got a brand new Terminator X, you're putting on an LS, you're going to do dry nitrous. I'm going to run it through real quick on how to set it up from start to finish on the basic stuff. So we're not going to go into super detail on configuring every sensor or anything, but just quick and dirty. So
And the Terminator is set up to run one stage of nitrous, but with some manipulation in advanced tables.
you could possibly run two.
I did see a lot of people commenting. They were like talking about how they thought this was really cool, and that's the whole purpose of this kind of. I mean, we can honestly just slap this on and not even put it on video and be like, hey, we're here with the Terminator. But I feel like a lot of people don't understand that the Terminator stuff is not just for the turbo application. It's really good for any LS swap, and the nitrous stuff you can run through there too. And just by me selling off everything, selling off the progressive, selling off the standalone, and selling off the two-step, I've literally paid for the Terminator system. So right there is your answer, folks. It's definitely a whole lot cheaper. You can just do it through the Holley. Not that any other stuff's bad, but the Holley has many benefits over stock ECU.
Yeah, and you have one box. You don't have to. Okay, I want to go in there and change my progressor, and now I want to go in there and change the two-step. You can literally do everything from the laptop, one swift motion, and you don't have 15 different boxes to worry about.
And we even convinced BJ to go to EFI.
Yeah, I really got tired of having all those boxes and stuff.
Our residential carburetor nitrous guy is no more, so we have an opening here. If you have a carbureted nitrous car, our carbureted nitrous guy just left, and he's gone. And
You know what the first thing he sold was? His screwdriver.
all right, guys, back in the shop here. We're gonna wrap up today's video. In tomorrow's video, you're gonna want to check it out because we were talking about the actual configuration and setup of the Terminator on the computer and flowing nitrous and getting everything all set up to run the car with dry nitrous on the Holley Terminator system. So check that out. If you have any questions, comment down below, and we'll do our best to help you out there. And let me know what configuration you guys are running, what setups you guys are running, what power adder you're running, and what you'd put the Terminator on if you were going to slap one on there. So thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Be sure to check out tomorrow's video because we got a bunch of information, and it's pretty funny because we like purged a couple bottles off in the shop here. So that's pretty fun. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's upload.
If you understand, you know.